Hey, folks, we are back with another episode. It's your boy Ash. As always, I'm joined by Tim. This is Calf Kick Sports, and we are breaking down the UFC 266. This one was an action-packed one, in fact. Really lived up to the kind of hype. You got Volkanovski, versus Brian Ortega. We're going to be breaking down that. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy, and Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz. So just some of the main fights on the card. Tim, man, what's your thoughts, man? How did you summate this whole event?
I'm really impressed with how you did the introduction as like a regular I'm
trying to live up to the GOAT, man. Tim Wheaton.
You in full like YouTube influencer of like, hey, it's your boy. What's going on, gamer folks?
I've been watching a lot of that YouTube influencer stuff, man. It's dangerous, man.
We call them like Calf Kick Sports Nation, or like, are we that lame yet that we can call them like, what's up, Calf Kick Sporties, or something stupid like this?
I don't know. We got to think of a fan name as well for sure.
But no, UFC 266 was a fantastic card, up and down, like even from the undercard to the main event. I'm glad it lived up to the hype, because everything on this card could have been a main event slot on an ESPN event. So I'm happy that it worked out so well. Everything from Dan Hooker turning into a wrestler and dominating the fight, the Marlon Merab fight, which we were talking about just before the show, Jessica Andrade, what can we say here? And it just reflects so much on the flyweight division. There's so much we want to sink our teeth into. Do you want to get right into the big boy show or the old boy show?
Let's go straight into it, Tim, because I think a lot of things there that we mentioned in the Volkanovski versus Ortega breakdown, I think it actually came to light as well. I mean, look, Volkanovski, we knew he was the better striker. We knew he was the more seasoned striker with better looks. He had feints, he had leg kicks. He's got really fast hands as well, really good boxing. I believe before going into the fight, we both did that he had the better striking, and it showed, man, in the fight. Now, I'd say Brian Ortega is a monster, man. He looked great in that third round when he almost choked out Volkanovski, and he turned up in the fifth, man, after taking so much damage. Shows how much cardio Ortega has. But ultimately, man, let's be honest, this is the Volkanovski showcase, man. He looked great in this in the 5-round fight against Ortega, and arguably against an Ortega 2.0. I think in some ways it's just as impressive as what Max did to Ortega, just purely for the fact that he fought an Ortega that's got better striking and overall better MMA knowledge coming into this. I mean, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I really like what you said on knowledge as well, because so often when we talk about fighters, it's very easy to talk about he's faster, he's stronger, whatever. I think really the difference between these two was intelligence and cage intelligence. There's a reason that Volkanovski is considered as good as he is, and he keeps beating people. Now, let's sing the praises of Ortega for a minute. Let's get that out of the way, that he is notoriously tough, but we only know that because he gets beat up. Exactly.
So his defense is still very questionable on a world championship stage against the elite of the elites. I'm talking about like the Max Holloways, the Volkanovskis, even Aldo in his prime. Yeah, I think he would have pieced Ortega up, man. His defense isn't great, but just tough as nails, man. That's his biggest weapon.
Yeah, even Ortega now, I think, might struggle with someone like Aldo. But also his snapdowns are really good. And Luke Thomas on the post show did talk about this as well. And I'm just going to use what he said. But usually with jiu-jitsu players, and even very good jiu-jitsu players, it takes them about 1 second to 2 seconds to actually get a submission to where it needs to be for it to be choking you, right? Brian Ortega's instant. As soon as that submission is on, he's locked in. So it's incredibly impressive. He did it twice in the fight. And actually, if you judge it based on who almost finished the fight, Brian Ortega almost finished the fight 3 times here, twice by submission. In the 5th round, he landed a big punch. However, for every other moment of this fight, Volkanovski was showing looks with tons of feints, stance switching. He was controlling the fight from every angle. He outlanded him like 4-1 in this fight, or something along those lines. But yeah, just an absolute masterclass from Alexander Volkanovski in what was an extremely exciting fight. And now you do have to ask yourself, with Brian Ortega, what was plan A? So that didn't work. What was plan B? Did you guys train a plan B? And then if that didn't work, what was plan C? Because he kind of did the same thing the
Yeah,
whole fight.
I think his plan A and plan B went out the window. So plan A was probably, funnily enough, I think it was actually to strike with Volkanovski and not to make this too much of a wrestling exchange. Because look, Volkanovski is an exceptionally good wrestler with really good cardio. Now, wrestling with him early, probably not the best game plan immediately. If you've got that submission, then yeah, go for it. But maybe not the best approach to kind of have a very wrestling heavy game plan with him. So it seems like Brian Ortega, he wanted to stand up with Volkanovski initially. And then when he realized it's not really going his way after the first 2 rounds, that's when you go. It's almost like a Hail Mary submission. He probably expended a lot of energy just using, kind of going for that guillotine choke. But it was so close, man. I mean, as Brian Ortega said, he was literally gargling, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he was in that position for more than 10 seconds where any normal human being would have fallen unconscious. And Volkanovski showed incredible fortitude, incredible toughness. And it puts a weird damper on the division because him and Max Holloway are how many steps ahead of everybody else in that division. What do we do next? We have Holloway fighting Yair Rodriguez. Are we doing a third fight?
Yeah, I've got an analogy for this. So Volkanovski and Max Holloway, I feel like now they're almost like the Cain Velasquez and JDS here or the heavyweight division of Pryor.
Yeah,
like because they're just damn good. They're just better than everyone, man. Like no one is on their level, man. Like when it talks about like actual levels, there's no one near their level at the moment. It seems, Brian Ortega was the number 3, and he still couldn't do anything to either of them.
That's exactly it. Just miles ahead of everybody else. And I like what you were saying with Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos. That was a really fun era where Cain Velasquez was like the top contender was so clearly Bigfoot, and he took him out in the first round with not absorbing any strikes, kind of thing. Like there was, right?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. That was a nuts fight as well. But
fun times.
I can't wait. Look, honestly, this is the first time I'd actually say this on air as well. I think I'm actually becoming a Volkanovski fan now. Like he's legitimately made me a fan now. Like he's not really the best on the mic. He's not a beast on the mic, but when it comes to actual skill level and his MMA fighting, IQ, it's a whole another level, man. Like it's incredible to see.
Yeah, and you can see him making adjustments throughout the fight, which really speaks to what you said in fighter IQ, where if something's not working on the feet, he has a plan B on the feet, and he has a plan C of wrestling. And you can see this all against Max Holloway, where the first round of their second fight is very different than the third round because he made adjustments and changed what he was doing and added a jab and all this other stuff. So you can see with Brian Ortega having a plan A and not a plan B, Volkanovski is just so far ahead of all these guys. And the crazy thing is we're saying Max and Volkanovski are so far ahead of the competition. Volkanovski has arguably he's beaten Matt. Let me put it this way. Brian Ortega and Max Holloway have had 15 rounds against Volkanovski. Have they won 5 rounds against him though? Combined?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So what's next for the division? I'm not really sure. It's still an exciting division. And like, if you did that third Max fight, you and I are going to be all over that kind of thing. However, what's next for Brian Ortega? Like he's a good fighter.
Calvin Kattar. I would love to see that fight. That would be, they both can take a beating, like,
sorry.
So it would just be a fun fight to see. I think Kattar is probably good enough to go now. It's almost been a year now since that loss, and I think with Brian Ortega, he's going to need some time off after this as well. He took a few licks, man, in this fight, so at least 2 or 3 months off, and then even before he considers about fighting again. But I would love to see both of them fight, man. Calvin Kattar versus Brian Ortega.
That's a really good matchup. I do really like that one. And he definitely took a lot of shots. I hope he spends some time off and really recovers because he was laying on the ground just before the third round, right? He was almost finished.
He managed to get to the 5th. I don't understand that.
That's the thing. Man,
you know.
and Herb Dean was giving him every opportunity of like, how many fingers am I holding up? And then he gave the wrong answer. So he changed how many fingers he was holding up and got the right answer. Like,
Yeah, he got those extra few seconds of breath. He's like, yes, three. Okay, I got one last chance, and then they're gonna just stop the fight.
and there is gamesmanship in there as well, like we used to see in boxing with a very game fighter in Floyd Mayweather, where if he needed a little bit more time to recover, his corner could always drop the ice or drop some water, or the stool was left behind. Like there is ways to get your fighters some more recovery time, and I'm not going to hold that against fighters. Good job to Volkanovski. Ortega showed tough grit. What do you want to say on the women's flyweight? Valentina Shevchenko beating the absolute top contender. Lauren Murphy took the hard road in getting to the title here. She had 5 in a row in this weight class. She wasn't given any favors, and then she got outclassed. She got outlanded by a 10th, like 10-1 in strikes in this fight. There wasn't a moment where Lauren Murphy was doing anything notable or exciting or interesting. What do you do with Valentina Shevchenko now?
I mean, look, this is exactly, the focus is just on Valentina, because with all due respect to Lauren Murphy, I think she's, again, tough as nails. She showed a lot of heart before she got stopped all the way late in the 4th. Yeah, this is just the Valentina Shevchenko showcase again. And the UFC have done this time and time again where, I'm not saying that there isn't anyone that can't beat her in that division, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone in the division in the UFC that can beat her at the moment. And she's just smashing everyone, man. It's just a showcase for Valentina. And I think ultimately, the fans want to see the trilogy bout with between her and Nunes, because that's the only fight that I feel like is competitive for both of them right now. That's who I think that should be the next fight. Just Valentina Shevchenko versus Nunes. But I mean, what do you think of the likelihood of that happening?
Well, and to really drive home the point of how beat women's flyweight is, Jessica Andrade just got a victory in this fight, and now Jessica Andrade is the number 2 in that weight class. She just got outclassed by Shevchenko, right? And now Andrade knocked out Cynthia Calvillo in the first round here. Man, like that division is beat at this point. Andrade isn't going to be able to beat Shevchenko. No one else can. And I was even thinking, like, I bet a lot of those strawweight women can maybe come up to flyweight if they're.
There's what's her face? I can't remember her name now, but she's come up from strawweight, and she was like a dark horse.
Tatiana Suarez.
That's the one. Yeah, she's coming up. She's at strawweight now, man.
Or she's at going from strawweight to flyweight.
She's at flyweight now, or she will be there. And I think that's it, man. She's the only challenger. That's it. Yeah, she's the last piece of the puzzle, man. And once Valentina has taken her out as well, okay, let's not be assumptive. If she takes her out, there's nothing else, man. Go fight for the 135-pound title, in my opinion.
I agree. So let's talk about Shepchenko versus Nunes, like you had brought up as the next fight. Both of them actually have cleaned out their divisions. But I mean, there's 3 divisions that are entirely cleaned out between the two of them. They do have a history against each other. And they're very close fights as well. At this point in their careers, I mean, Shevchenko's still undersized, but she's also been a lot more active in the last 2 years. How do you size up that fight? Let's say it's 9 months from now or something, 10 months from now or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, if they do set that fight up, I mean, firstly, obviously it's at 135. So here's the interesting thing, Tim. No matter what the outcome, they're both gonna still be champions by the end of it. It's true. It's almost a no-lose situation for the UFC. So if Valentina Shevchenko gets KO'd in the first round, hey ho, she's still the champion at flyweight, and then you have a couple of fights and you make her look good again. And there you go. You got your cash cow again for the flyweight division, female flyweight division. With Amanda Nunes, if she loses, she's still got the featherweight division. And then you just bring in more talent from, 145 across the world. But yeah, I think I definitely feel like it's a big fight that the UFC should be setting up. There isn't anyone right now. I mean, what do you think of the chances of Amanda Nunes getting beaten in her next fight against God, man, I'm bad at the name.
Juliana Pena, but yeah. No, this is another showcase for Nunes, in all honesty. And I like Pena, of course. We all like Juliana Pena, but Amanda Nunes outclasses her. And then there's only they've cleaned out the divisions. That's the problem, and they have a history. It could make for a great storyline, but yeah, that would be a fun fight. I think it might be boring, but I think it'd be a fun fight.
Yeah, the last two fights weren't exceptionally like exciting. It was more like very much point fighting based style. But yeah, I wouldn't think it's going to be exceptionally exciting or anything like that. But yeah, the UFC needs something like that with the female champions for sure, man. They need kind of a super fight now.
I think that'd be a ton of fun to do, but let's move down to the old boys. Robbie Lawler gets a win against Nick Diaz by 3rd round TKO. Nick Diaz hasn't had a win in about 10 years, hasn't fought in about 6 years. I mean, what do you want to say about him? He looks okay.
We made our decision before, that video that got released. I mean, I'm getting a lot of shit for it because, some people are saying I'm being too harsh. It's not the fact that Nick Diaz was shadowboxing. So it's basically that video of him shadowboxing is what I'm referring to for all you guys listening out there. But the shadowboxing didn't look great. Not that you look exceptionally explosive or fast. He just looked really old, man. Like he didn't look great. He looked quite soft. Like he didn't look as shredded as he did, a few months ago when he was doing that test cut to 170. Had I seen that, I probably wouldn't have picked Nick Diaz to win. But look, in the actual fight, he surprised me, man. He performed a lot better than I thought he would. He looked good in that first round. He arguably might have even taken that first round. But ultimately, Robbie Lawler looked like the hungrier, fresher fighter. He looked like he's been putting in more rounds as well, just generally. And he looked sharper out there. I mean, what's your thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, no, here's the thing with Diaz fans, and like they were being like, hey, you were being way too harsh on him. Dude, shut the hell up. He's a professional fighter. If we're gonna say it as things look. And if we say he doesn't look good shadowboxing, and then guess what? He looks bad in the fight. That's validating. Like, you stop being so sensitive about your favorite fighter. And this is also the thing when we were like, congratulations to Robbie Lawler. And a bunch of people in the comments were like, yeah, Nick won the first round. Like
this is the finished anyway. It didn't even matter. Why does it matter, man? Like,
no, this is exactly. He got finished. Like, and if he won the first round, good job, but he didn't carry that energy to the 2nd or 3rd round. He didn't show any adjustments when he began to lose in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. And he arguably also lost the first round, even, what I mean of like Diaz fans will cling to anything. Yeah. Anything that's there and like very defensive about their favorite fighter. But no, Robbie.
Yeah, just Habib fans, man, they're the worst, man. God. This is even Conor fans as well. Like, look, I'm drawing all of you mans out. Like, all of you guys.
100%, man. This is like, I like all fighters. It's their fans who are always the worst people in the world, who are just so overly sensitive and like can't take criticism or anything like that. But yeah, Nick Diaz looked like a guy who's been off for 6 years, who hasn't fought, had a win for 10 years. His game hadn't adjusted. He wasn't doing anything to really counter Lawler, like adjusting in takedowns or clinching or any leg kicks or body kicks, where Robbie Lawler was actually landing some really good body kicks and actually almost finished the fight off of body kicks and was landing some okay leg kicks. But Robbie Lawler smothered him. He just gave him absolutely no space to breathe, kept pressuring him against the fence. And Nick
bulldogged him completely.
Yeah, Nick didn't show any answers or adjustments. Again, we go back to like, we see what your plan A was, but you obviously didn't have a plan B, and it doesn't bode well for the future. But yeah, what do you think?
Here's the thing with Nick here. Like, he didn't look bad at all in that first round. He actually looked, he performed a lot better than he looked, if that makes sense. Because
yes, again, that's true. True.
Yeah, I'm a fatty bastard, yeah. But like, he looks soft, man. I'm not a professional fighter at the end of the day, and he didn't look as lean or as fit or healthy as he normally does. Because Nick Diaz in his prime, man, that's one shredded human being, man. Like, he's like the Terminator, man. Endless cardio. I think I put this as one of our posts as well. I said, the Nick Diaz of old, if he took an uppercut like that 10 years ago, he would have just shrugged it off and thrown middle fingers at you and just kept it. But like, this guy, I feel like he gave up, man. I feel like he gave up, in all honesty. I mean, I don't know what happened. again, I'm not a professional fighter. If my orbital bone was like shattered, or my nose is broken, I probably would want to stop the fight. But I'm not a pro fighter. I'm just going by the fact that Nick Diaz, was this kind of, he couldn't be dominated. That kind of spirit that couldn't be dominated, and now he's kind of given up, man, in the third. I mean, what's your thoughts on him kind of essentially giving up?
No, exactly. This not only physically wasn't in his prime, but mentally he's not in his prime as well, where he's known for, like, he was being dropped by Paul Daly and still calling him a bitch and still throwing up middle fingers while he was falling to the ground and while he was getting up. But in this fight, he he got hit and it was like, no, I'm good. That's fine. I'm fine. Like, and that's fine. And nothing's wrong with that. However, the reason that we mention this is because it doesn't really bode well for the future of his career. Like, are you mentally and physically in this? Doesn't really appear that way. And especially with his fans have based his career on, like, look how notoriously tough he was. And that's absolutely true. But like in this fight, that's simply not the case. He's almost getting dropped by body shots. And it's sad to see, but I think he does come back for another fight because it's just the way things go. I don't know. Like,
man, it has to be at 170. I'd like to see him make weight and look good. And if he looks good, then, you never know, man. Sky's the limit. But as for him and Usman, you guys can forget about it. You Nick Diaz, you 209, Army, like, just forget that shit, man, because that's not gonna happen. And if I'm wrong, you can play the soundbite, and I'll get a 209 like Army tattoo on my arm, man. Like, how's that? That's not.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is absolutely true. If he wins a title anywhere in the, I'm down for that. I'll jump in on that. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, I'll get it, man. I'll get it for a banner, but it's never, ever, ever happening. So sorry, guys.
I did pick the name of maybe he could honestly win against Donald Cerrone kind of thing, but I mean, that's fine. But he honestly probably wins the Donald Cerrone fight.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to see that though? Because that's just, I mean, like, people are calling for that fight. I mean, it probably would do decent numbers, but at that point, you're just basically shipping out your veterans and trying to cash as much money out of your veterans as possible. I think just let them fight, like, some easier guy or an easier opponent or something like that, man.
Exactly. And I know Diaz fans are going to be a little bit defensive here on their guy, but I want to throw something else at them just to kind of show them that we're not being haters. We actually quite like Nick Diaz a lot. However, he's not in great physical shape in terms of, we always say, like, he was a triathlete and did triathlons and stuff like that. He hasn't done that in 10 years. Like, he did triathlons 10 years ago, and he hasn't done that in a really long time. Like, at least in the last 5 years, he hasn't done a triathlon, which is to say he hasn't really been staying in shape. His mind and body aren't really in this sport, unfortunately. I don't know if he comes back. However, like, just the evidence suggests that he's not really doing this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't think the UFC should give him another fight. And they probably will. Let's be honest, business after all. But maybe one more fight and see how that goes. If it goes badly, then maybe not, because it's just wrong, man. Like, like, what is this? Are we Triller now? Like, we just putting old fighters through the rigor, just to get one more penny, man. Come on, like, fuck off.
Well, yeah, you are absolutely correct here. And then we have to bring into, like, prize fighting is kind of a crappy sport anyway. Prize fighting, like, it's a shady thing regardless. Nick Diaz. Yeah. So I have on record that Nick Diaz did a 5K run in 2021, actually, which isn't amazing. Like, I can do that, but but he's not doing triathlons, at least according to this website. But
imagine he's doing it in like 37 minutes or something like that. I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened to you, Nick?
Yeah, let's check it out. That's because it's probably some amazing number that he did it in. Yeah, holy shit, he did
22 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that.
He did it in under 20 minutes, which is holy shit, he was running. What a man.
That is insane, man.
So he's well above a normal human being. But
he's still, you could even tell though in that first round, he, it wasn't the cardio that was an issue in this fight, even though he didn't look great physically. It was mentally. I feel like he mentally wasn't all there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to take a Robbie Lawler bomb and keep going and keep going.
No, that's that's a tall order. Robbie Lawler's been through some wars and shut down great fighters based on his power, and that he never quits. He never gives you space to breathe when you don't pressure him back. But yeah, you can't back away from Robbie Lawler. That's really
and I got to hand it to Robbie, man. Look, I was giving, I was saying Robbie might not be the same guy anymore, but I think it's really, really clear. There's a massive correlation between Robbie's last few losses and who the opponent were in their style.
True.
So they're wrestlers, man. Neil Magny, Colby Covington, Ben Askren, Rafael dos Anjos. I say just give him some strikers, man. Build him up a little bit, and then throw him into the deep waters of the top 5 and see if he's still got it.
That's the crazy thing. Both of these guys debuted in their teens, and they're nearly in their 40s now, and we're still seeing them compete at quite high level of MMA. If you sent these guys off to XMMA or CFFC, they would be champions, no doubt about it. Even sending them to a Bellator, they might be a top 3 easily.
Yeah.
But in the UFC, they're out of the top 15, and I don't know that either of them beat anyone in the top 15. But yeah, there's still some fun fights left. So, anything else you want to say on Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler?
Oh no, man. I mean, I'm just really just looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to the next big event, man, which is the Jan Blachowicz event against Glover Teixeira. So I think that's going to be a really, really good fight. I mean, I'm just going to pull out that card real 1 second.
That's going to be a really fun one, and I think that one's also free on TV. I think it's not a pay-per-view event.
Oh, really? Yeah. They did mention something like that, but there's no Aljo in it, man. There's no Aljo in it, so I wonder what's going to happen with that instead now.
We have seen rumors that it will be Corey Sandhagen is filling in, and then they're going to do a interim title fight because TJ's injured, so TJ can't fill in, so they're going to put Corey in there, which is hell yeah, that's a great one. that's a terrible fight.
That's so terrible that this is news to me. I should just give up doing this. Like wait, so that's interesting. Okay, I just saw that, but like he just lost the fight, man. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
It absolutely is. However, it was a close fight. We'll give him that much. Corey, I mean, losing to Dillashaw was an extremely close fight.
Yeah, it's true. It could have gone either way.
Number 2, he's uninjured, so he's the only top 5 guy available. Number 3, Jan versus Sandhagen. Cool, sign me up.
That's. I mean, you know what's funny, man? This is for an interim title belt, and it's almost. Do you know what this feels like? It does. It feels like Peter Yan is fighting for the real title, and then he's gonna fight for Aljo's interim belt. If that makes sense.
No, exactly that. I think it was MMA Fighting or MMA Weekly have their independent rankings, and I think if Yan wins, even though he's not officially the champion, he is number 1 in that division, having beaten Sandhagen. I think that's a fair case that you can make in that case. But yeah, I love that fight, and I agree with you on that. I feel
my boy's fighting on that card as well, man. I'm so excited for this. Hamzat Chimaev, he's going to be fighting on that card too.
You know what's funny? We actually started doing this after the Hamzat Chimaev hype train was really off the rails. So it's one of those things where I feel like some people are conservatives and some people are liberals, and we can't agree of how good Hamzat Chimaev is. We can never see eye to eye of like Lee. He'll beat Li Jiangliang. I think Lee is a really good fighter.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a dangerous fight, bro.
It is.
He's very, very, like, you can knock him out. But to be fair, look, if he takes out Li Jingliang, I think just give Hamza a top 5 opponent, because Li is definitely top 10 material, easily.
Here's where the meme starts between now and UFC 267 is every time we say Li Jiangliang, we're going to say it differently. We can never agree on the enunciation.
I think it's Li Jingliang.
Jingliang. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Hamzat. Yeah, that's a good fight for him. Li Jiangliang will be an extremely tough test because he's very physical. He's good all around. He's going to be a little bit stronger, I assume. But yeah, and Hamzat is going to be a tough fight coming back from how severe his COVID was. This guy retired. Yeah. He was coughing up blood. He was in the hospital, and so severely they flew him to the United States to be in a hospital in Vegas. But yeah, it's been a tough road for him. Like, he had 3 quick wins very rapidly, really impressively over fine fighters. But yeah, then he was out. So this is his first fight back, and we'll see what kind of shape he's in. And it's a tough test coming back. But yeah, I look forward to the future of Hamzat Chimaev. Did you want to say anything before we wrap up? Did you want to say anything on Merab and Marlon Moraes as well?
Oh my goodness, how could I forget, man? that is round of the year. That's probably the fight of the year for me. That was. Do you know what's bananas? Yeah, like I was watching this fight, and Marlon Moraes. I was like, "This is done, man. Marlon's got this. It's a wrap, man. Finished." And Mirab, like, damn, that guy is the Terminator. What's crazy is how is those short shots here knocked out Marlon Moraes? Like, how much power does he have in his ground and pound? There's just too many things to talk about, man. What an insane fight.
Absolutely, what an insane fight. And Marlon Moraes is as I was talking to Fraser Crone the other day, he is clearly the greatest fighter for 2 minutes every fight. I said it was Kevin Lee. I was wrong. And how do you even score that fight if he scored 2 knockdowns and nearly finished the fight? But then he finishes the round on his back, receiving very
10-9 to Marlon, just about 10-9.
Just about, but like maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, that was a great fight.
Or even 9. It could be 10-10. It could be 10-10 or sorry, not 10-10, 9-9.
That's a really fair. I think if you're going to use a 10-10, that's a pretty good time to make it. Two judges gave it to Marlon, one judge gave it to Mirab, which is just insane. So Mirab Dvalishvili does win the fight via second round TKO. Marlon was so tired by that point and just took a ton of punishment. However, men's bantamweight continues to be so good because Mirab Dvalishvili, he's in the top. He's cracked, but he's at number 6 now. So here's the only people ahead of him: Jose Aldo, Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw, Petr Yan, and Aljamain Sterling.
Bloody hell! What a pack of killers, man! And what's gonna happen, man, if he has to fight his boy? That's an interesting one, isn't it?
That's true too. If he has to fight Sterling, doesn't need him in that. I feel bad for Sterling. People hate him so much. I like him. He seems fine.
I like Aldo, man. I get why he's playing the whole I am the champion type of thing. It's just pissing people off more.
Yeah.
But
he's playing a game here. He's playing a heel and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, you can't be you can't be the champion after doing something like that. If it was me, then again, I'm not a professional sportsman, so who knows? I would have vacated the title, man. I think that would have been the right thing to do.
No, I would just go full heel and just like take out.
Like Chael Sonnen, he said you could have done that as well. Yeah, like if John Jones didn't realize, his toe wasn't gnarled up and like all disgusting and broken.
Yeah,
Chael Sonnen would have been the champion, and then someone asked Chael, "Oh, what would you have done? Would you have taken the belt?" I'm like, I would have taken that son of a bitch right to Oregon, man.
You got it. That's right, man. Like Tim Sylvia used to piss people off because he used to take his championship belt to the grocery store and he used to wear it around his leg. And that would have been me. I would have been wearing that belt. I don't care. Like I'm concussed. He kneed me in the head so good, and I'm wearing the belt. Like I care. But yeah, anything else you want to say before we head out of here? We got tons of interviews coming up. We got tons of interviews in the past. We got tons of interviews coming up. We got some fight events coming up. We're gonna be busy for the next little while here.
Yeah, we've got like a super special guest. I might as well reveal it because it's a short thing. But yeah, we got Nate Marquardt. He's coming on in the next 2 hours. Right after this, we're gonna jump off, and a couple of other special guests that we're gonna reveal next week as well. But yeah, stay tuned. Keep subscribing to Calf Kick Sports. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere. Till next time, folks. Have a good one.
Cheers. Thanks, folks.